Before we begin today's episode, we're excited to announce a giveaway. We're giving away a 4K disc copy of Arcane Season 1, the Netflix original series starring Ella Purnell and Haley Steinfeld. And to enter, all you have to do is follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Film Optix, that is Optix with an X. And for a bonus entry, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and then send us a screenshot of said review at Film Optix. Again, that's Optix with an X at gmail.com. Or you can send us a direct message on Twitter or Instagram as proof for your bonus entry. You'll find all of our social links in the episode description, and the winner will be chosen on Tuesday, November 12th. May the odds be ever in your favor.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me you're from Memphis.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, joined by my partner in film, Devin, alongside of two friends of the show. We have Amanda, aka AMX NDA Reviews on Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd. And we have Mike from Collider, the Chatter After, and the Amateur Otaku podcast. And today we're going to be diving into our thoughts, our opinions on HBO's limited series, The Penguin. This is going to be a full spoiler review for you guys. So we're just going to be talking about spoilers right out of the gate. All 8 episodes are available on HBO Max now to stream. But before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. Or you can send us a text message by going to the episode notes of this episode or any of our other episodes. There's a link at the very top of this episode description that says, send us a text message. You click that link, it'll generate a text, and you can ask us anything you want. Within reason, obviously. But let's get to our panel of film critics here. Amanda, what's going on? It's been a long time since you've been on the show. How are you? And yeah, what's going on? What's up?
It's so good to be back. I missed you guys. It's been a very long time. I think the last time we spoke was probably for, I don't want to say Dune Part 2, but it could have been Dune Part 2.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was Dune Part 2.
It was like back in March.
Right? Life happens.
Amanda's like, I don't want to be on the show.
That's not true.
I'm good.
Life happens. Life happens, man. Nah, it's been crazy with work and just, it's been very, very hectic and busy. But I've been watching more older films than new releases. So the only show that I've actually kept up with is The Penguin. So thanks for having me on for this.
Yeah, of course. Mr. Mikey, what's going on? How are you?
First off, don't do that. Second, Mikey.
I'm sorry. Mike, how are you? What's going on in your life?
We are not starting the Mikey train. I ditched it. We're not bringing that back.
Fair enough. I apologize.
Right.
I was like, I accidentally hit a nerve. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited to talk The Penguin. The show is great. I've just, like Amanda was saying, that's just been life. It's been a crazy summer. It's funny you guys mentioned Dune. I can finally talk about Dune Prophecy. That show is really good. I can't wait for you guys to check it out. That, and I can't talk about the other thing I've been watching, but you'll get that review on Collider later this week. But things happen in the valley and snakes are involved.
Oh, yes. Glad that both of you are doing so well. It's been a while since, actually, I think last time Mike was on was for Batman the Caped Crusader, I think.
Clearly I'm Vengeance. I'm only here for Batman episodes.
But yeah, it's great that you guys are doing so well. It has been very, very busy, for everyone. Devin, what's going on? How are you? How was your weekend?
It's nice. It's nice to have like the gang back together. It's like the Gotham gangs like joining forces to take over the drug.
Gotham Knights?
Oh no, not going that far.
We don't do that here.
We do
Stop
not
there.
do that here.
But yeah, like you mentioned, we watched Heretic this weekend. That was a good one. And also last week I saw Real Pain. That was also a pleasant surprise.
I watched that today. I cried. I really liked A Real Pain.
That was a lovely one. They had a Shaker Heights name drop, which is really right next to where I live.
Oh, did they really? Heck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. The land. I am supposed to see it tomorrow, but I double booked something else. And listen,
Unbelievable. That's just.
I don't know what's going to happen. I still got to figure out what's going on because, it's just been crazy. I got my weeks mixed up and Thanksgiving is right around the corner. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh, it is.
For you guys, yeah.
miss Thanksgiving in October.
It's good to split everything up. I don't understand. I think it's great that it's in
Halloween
October.
and Thanksgiving. That's too much for me to handle.
Christmas and New Year's is a week apart, dude. Relax.
Okay, that's okay.
Get it. Exactly. Haha.
That was a quick rebuttal.
That was a very quick rebuttal. That was a very quick rebuttal.
He had that in the barrel. He's like, here.
He's like, I know exactly what he's gonna say.
I know Christian at this point. You know, he and I are family.
What does that mean?
Oh, the eye roll, though. Damn.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
What happened?
gosh. Oh, nothing. I actually don't
I
know.
know.
I'm
For a hug, buddy.
that's rough, buddy.
Brutal. That's your segue, though. Here you go.
That is. So, as I mentioned, we are going to be giving our spoiler-free thoughts on season 1 of The Penguin. So, we will be right back after this introduction to season 1 of The Penguin.
Come on.
You gotta help me up.
Life is just a dream.
You promised me, Oswald.
I know now.
I deserve a better life.
I'm working on it. The world ain't set up for the honest man to succeed. That should be the American dream right there. You know, beautiful story with a happy ending. But that ain't the way the world works. America's a hustle. Not that I'm complaining.
And we are back with our season 1 spoiler-free review of The Penguin. The creator of this show is Lauren LaFranc and stars Colin Farrell, Kristen Milioti, and Renzi Felix. And the synopsis is as follows. The next chapter in the Batman saga, this crime drama follows Oz Cobb's, aka Oswald Cobblepot's, quest for power and control in Gotham City. So, like we said before, all 8 episodes are now available to stream on HBO Max. I will never call it Max ever again. It just sounds super weird. But we're going to get into our initial thoughts of the show overall really quick, and then we will kind of get into the spoiler section. But if your initial reactions include spoilers, that's fine too. Whatever works best for you guys. So we'll start with Amanda, then we'll go to Mike, and then Devin, and then myself.
I really loved Colin Farrell in the movie. I thought he was fantastic with what little he had of screen time. And then after that first episode, I just felt like Gotham was so fully realized and we had to explore the underground with Oz. And then the introduction of Christina Milioti, I was like, oh, Sophia's going to be like this big player. And then every single episode, I'm like, holy, she's blowing my mind. I just like that they leaned into like a really hardcore crime thriller. I think it was brutal and perfectly brutal for Oz, especially as the villain that he is. He's very ruthless. And I think that, you know, Colin Farrell was able to also show his humanity with the Penguin's mom too. So I thought that that was interesting. As a whole, I was just completely blown away. I think it's like every single perfect puzzle piece that you can put together for this series. With the characters especially, I think they all worked really well, and I was just very impressed with every single person. I think once it got to episode 4, I was like, this is going to be the show of the year, and if you're not watching it right now, you better be like binge watching it immediately, because I was just blown away by everything. It also made me extremely happy moving forward with like Matt Reeves in the universe, because he knows exactly what he wants from all of these characters, and it's just really exciting bleeding into Batman 2.
I'm pretty much just going to be echoing everything Mando already said. I will say this show delivered on everything we were promised, right? Like, it is a HBO drama set in the world of the Batman, and I really love how after that like first couple episodes, the pitch really kicks in of like, oh yeah, I don't need Batman in this at all. Like, I am firmly invested in Oz and Sophia and Victor, and I love seeing like the underbelly of Gotham City, because we always see it from Bruce Wayne's point of view, right? Of like, it's always that top down type of view where like he's living 14 miles outside of the city, and then the Batman has to drive into Gotham when the signal's up, and it's like, well, this is what's happening on the day to day, and seeing the struggles of the people that actually live in Gotham, and then even seeing like Oz become almost like a hero to a lot of these people in their own twisted way, because he is enacting some sort of change throughout the course of the series, even with a character like Vic, right? Like, he finds a place where he feels like he belongs. And then seeing how Sophia comes into play, and she kind of just twists everything and replaces her father, but also brings like a new spin, a new type of villain into this story, I thought was very fascinating, especially like seeing her in Arkham and seeing how demented Arkham can be as a facility. And like, yeah, this is why the Joker and Harley Quinn become the way that they are, right? If these are the people that's help, like if Dr. Rush is the people that's supposed to be helping rehabilitate the Joker and Harley Quinn, I get it. I kind of get it. But yeah, like I really loved the series, especially in those first few episodes, because it firmly establishes what this world is. And I'm excited to see so much more, especially since Matt Reeves wants to like blow it up, and how it contrasts to what I assume James Gunn is going to be doing anyway. Like, I don't think this show can exist in the DCU, so I'm glad they have the opportunity to have those two separate universes.
Devin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, going into this one, like we mentioned during our initial premiere episode that we talked about the show, the world has been yearning for more Matt Reeves Batman universe, and this is like the perfect bridge to Batman 2, because it had been a long wait between Batman 1 and Batman 2. People were starting to worry, like, oh, we still got a couple more years before Batman Part 2, and then this comes in and it just fits in so perfectly. Like Amanda mentioned, it's the perfect like puzzle piece to the Matt Reeves universe. And I think every episode, like, there's not a single episode where I was just like, oh, this is kind of stepping down in quality a little bit. Like, everything was just consistent the whole way through. Like, there wasn't a single lull, I don't think, throughout the whole season. And every character that gets introduced, they all fit so perfectly. Colin Farrell as the Penguin is just, I don't. It's hard to understand how he's doing this. Like, it doesn't feel real. Like, his face and his mannerisms. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like Colin Farrell. Like, he just completely transformed. And Sophia Falcone, Christina Milioti, like, she is just, for a character that's lesser known than the Penguin to come in and kind of steal the show. I think that was pretty impressive of her to come out and do that. And then the tragic story of Victor Aguilar, which I was actually curious as the show was first starting if that was an existing character, but I think it's just kind of one created for this show. And that's kind of the sad way that one ends. But yeah, a great series. Looking forward to part 2 and exploring and expanding the universe even more under Matt Reeves.
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much all hit it on the head. I'm not gonna lie, like when I first watched the first episode, and we did this episode 1 review just like a few weeks ago. At first I was unsure. I was like, okay, like it was a really good episode, but I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then pretty much from like episode 2 onward, I was like, okay, yeah, like this is, I was starting to warm up to it. And I was like, yeah, this is probably X-Men 97 omitted, like one of the best shows that's, it's adapting comic books, but I know Mike and I actually talked about this a little bit off air. He was mentioning how, you know, it is a world without Batman, but it's comic book adjacent almost. Like it's kind of just using the names and the characters of comic book characters as a vehicle, but it's really just like a crime boss show. And that's what I really liked about it, because it just felt like anyone can just watch this and pick it up. You don't really necessarily have to know too much prior knowledge, but obviously watching the Batman is going to enhance your experience. But I know Devin has made the joke throughout the weeks, How I Met Your Mobster with Chris, with Sophia Falcone, or Gigante, I should say.
That's true.
But, you know, it's everyone in the show just brought their A game. And like Devin said, there wasn't any dip of quality when like, it's like, okay, like, yeah, like this week's episode was good. Next week's was like, iffy, but I love how they still made Gotham feel like Gotham, as in Gotham was its own character, and of course being like the underbelly of Gotham altogether, just from the perspective of the Penguin. Obviously, Batman is not here, and I know a lot of people are saying, where is he? Where is he? And it's like, well, you know, the man can only be one place at a time, but he's still in his early years as well. So it might be that, you know, his focus was elsewhere, but I like how Batman wasn't here, because I think Matt Reeves had said that it was going to take away from the show being the Penguin. It's almost like, you know, throwing in an episode of The Mandalorian in the middle of the Book of Boba Fett. Everyone forgets about the rest of that story and was like, well, we just want more Mandalorian at this point, because you gave us like an entire Mandalorian episode inside of the Book of Boba Fett. So no one cares about Boba Fett anymore. I don't know if people actually cared during the beginning of that series or not, but it is what it is. I don't know. I loved watching it from week to week and just diving in, and honestly going back and watching like other people's breakdowns on YouTube. I was like, oh man, I didn't even realize there were so many callbacks and or just subtle foreshadowing hints that happen. And it's like, okay, now it all makes sense. Now I want to go back and rewatch it and just experience it all again and like a different pair of lens. You know what I mean? Because it's so, like, there's so many times where, you know, obviously Victor's death, that's like the biggest elephant in the room, outside of us finding out how Oz's brothers died, because he made it seem like it was some terrible, like, kind of like crime boss, like mix-up accident. It's like, nope, he just kills them, like, you know, because they're, you know, kind of messing around with him. And we see these tendencies from Oz, literally from episode 1, where Sophia's brother, I'm blanking on his name right now, I do apologize, but her brother was basically just like laughing at him, and he just got pissed and shot him. And it's like, oh, so it's that kind of show. And it's like his ego's so fragile that like it's crazy, like the psyche between him or Oz and Sophia, where I like how the show didn't glorify what Oz was doing. Like, because by episode 8,
he is not an anti-hero, thank God.
Yeah, like I was very tired of the whole, you know, we had like the Dahmer situation, and then like, oh, like let's make every villain like relatable. And it's like, well, I don't need that. Sometimes I just want a villain or like a main character of a show just to be bad, because that's just who they are. Like Oz literally sat there and was going to let Sophia cut off his mother's pinky because he couldn't tell like one truth to his mom once in his entire life about what happened to his brothers. And it's like he was fooling himself and like living in this fantasy world. And it's like, it's so insane. And I love how they showed how much of a monster he really is.
There was a point during the strangulation, like towards the end, like his last breath, there was a face that the Penguin made that was like not human. Like, I don't know. Yeah,
he was like so detached in that moment.
It reminded me of Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, like the faces that he can make.
Yeah.
Like, just that monstrous, like there's just nothing in those eyes. Like that's just a monster at that point.
Yeah, I mean that was the point of the scene, right? Of like he's telling Victor that he has to let go of his humanity, essentially, of like his the singular tethers he has, being his mom or being Victor, he has to let those go to get the power that he wants. And it's messed up, but yeah, that's why I'm glad like you saw that he was conveying that in that scene, just like physically, of how twisted that was.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people could have guessed like the first episode that Victor probably wasn't going to last, but I don't, just the way that he went out, that's just what hits you. Like, man, he was the one that saved Oz too. Like he came up with that plan to bring in Link, I think his name was, but one of the other gangs. He had that whole plan and wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's almost like, and I wanted to ask you guys, because we know that Victor had a chance to get out with his, I guess, situationship with his love interest that was going on. And it seemed like Oz was just going to let him go. But I don't know. It's like, when did Oz figure out or like decide like, hey, you know, this guy that I almost killed, like on multiple occasions, like how does he figure out or decide Victor is more of a liability, as in he might have considered him family at some point, but I mean, his mother is still alive. So it's kind of weird because how
he has two moms now.
Yeah. He's got two mommies now. That was weird. I was like, wow.
Oh, the whole thing was weird. Let's not act like it got weird at that moment.
Yeah. It's sorry. Go ahead, Amanda.
No, I felt so like uncomfortable watching that.
like the wig, the dress, and everything.
Yeah, and then just even the dialogue, I was like, oh my goodness, we're going there. So.
It's like, yeah, I was like, maybe he should also be in Arkham. Like, obviously he should, but it's like,
yeah.
Hey, Sophia said she would save a seat.
Yeah, that is true. I
that
fully
whole scene.
expected Sophia to die. Fully expected.
I didn't think they
No?
would do it. No, she's too valuable to them as a character. There's absolutely no way that I thought she was gonna die.
Plus, she has a sister.
Yeah, that connection there. Oh my god, that letter in Arkham. I was like, yeah.
I was like, yes.
I was clapping like this. I was like, yay, we got something.
How does Carmine create these daughters? I don't know. He's not much of a looker.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not the
Poor
person.
John
I love John Turturro, but
Yeah.
and Mark Strong for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
For a couple scenes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there he is.
Yeah.
He came back. Yeah, it is weird because, you know, he decides to off Victor, like, but he's not going to off his mom. His mom was ready to off him. But she's kind of just like they said, she's a vegetable. She had that stroke and she's just basically just waiting to die. But it's like this.
It's the one thing she didn't want, though. Like, she told Oz to never let that happen to her. So that's why it's very much Oz is a twisted individual. Of he wanted for himself to prove that he got her the penthouse above the city. So he's leaving her in a vegetative state just to say, yeah, I did the thing I said I was always going to do. And and I think that's why that scene with Sophia and his mom earlier in the episode is so important, is that in a weird way, Sophia is playing therapist of like, we're seeing who Oz is and how much he really doesn't care about his mom. Like he was going to let the thing, he could have just lied. Like to save her finger, if you didn't kill your brother, you just lie and protect her and explain it later. But he was adamant of keeping this persona. And so that's
Delusions.
why. Yeah, it's delusion. He's very delulu.
Delusions.
He is.
Yeah, that was a scary part because I thought he was going to admit it. I was like, okay, he's just not going to. Like, I thought that Pinky was going to go off altogether, but you know, something worse even happened to her because she was very much in shock.
I thought it was also a great reveal that they showed that she knew all along, like for years and years. Like I did not expect that.
I was going to ask you guys, when she was drowning in the bathtub, do you think she was trying to like end it for herself right then and there? Or do you just think that it was just more of a accident that happens?
I think it would be an accident. I don't think that she was in that state. I didn't take it as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I was like, I was going back. I was like, maybe, but might have been more of a stretch or not. But I don't know. It was pretty messed up either way. But I think right after that is when she had said, you know, if my disease ever takes me that far, like I need you to end my life. And I was like, oh. But yeah, I wanted to actually pass it back over to you guys. If there's anything that you wanted to bring up that we haven't had a chance to talk about, or any questions that have been like kind of sitting with you after the finale, we'll go with Mike and then Devin and then Amanda.
Yeah, I just have a question for you guys. We talked about how refreshing it was that Batman wasn't in this story. But did it get to a point where it's like, why isn't Batman in this story?
Yes,
because like the biggest crime family just gets offed, you know, random on a random Tuesday, and then a bomb goes off in the middle of the city, and this man never shows up. And it got to that point where I'm like, you know, Bruce, check your missed calls. I don't know where you are, what's going on right now, but yeah, like I feel like the show went a little overboard at times, where it's like, okay, Batman needs to be here at some point, right?
I am curious how many days went by throughout the sequence of the show. Like how long was it?
How long? He didn't show up.
Because when does the Penguin take place? Is it like a few weeks after the Batman, right? It's like maybe
it's a week after the Batman, but then we do a time jump in the show. Like we do a mini time skip in like episode 5 or whatever.
Did we? Oh,
yeah. Because I mean, he has a fully operational like truck
right.
ring, so you know
Right.
we skip time. So I think we're closer to Christmas now. So like a month at least has passed. Because
And it's gonna be snowing for Batman Part 2.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
That is
That'll
very
be
true.
interesting. I didn't feel anything. I was like, oh, he's not here. That's fine. I was so locked in. I was like, you know what? He's probably busy. You know, other people. He's probably busy.
He's got
It's a big
Selena
city,
Kyle
you
to
know?
work with.
Yeah. Maybe like Dick Grayson's like helping him out. Who knows at that point? Whoever comes first of the Bat Kids, I just want that to happen.
Yeah, I need a Robin. Like
I need a Robin.
pronto. I need a Robin, like a full Robin.
Yeah.
But
low key, when I saw that crowbar in Sophia's hand, this like the first person I thought, I was like, no. I was like, oh my God. I was like,
she was
why
ready.
is there, right? I was like, why is there a crowbar, Sophia? Why are we doing this?
She was ready. She was ready. I was like, oh,
Just-
so she's gonna do this like now.
just like
Yeah.
Walter White in the car, just like, get out of here, Jason, run.
Jumping through the screen of the TV. I thought, like, I was trying to figure out if Sophia would go that far to off Oz's mom. But before we go there, I actually wanted to touch on Mike's point. Like, it was always in the back of my mind that I was like, okay, like, especially after the explosion, I was like, you would think maybe they would have mentioned him like once or twice, but it didn't bug me, but it was a question in the back of my mind where I'm like, okay, a lot is happening.
Yeah.
So like, where is he? But I guess since this whole situation happens like, you know, a few weeks after the Batman, he's still figuring stuff out. So, but I'm glad
we
he
just
wasn't
got to
there.
a point where it's like, I don't need him to show up, but like,
Yeah.
I need Oz to be like, hey, Vic, we need to get these drugs out of here before the bat catches on. Like something, anything. Of like, his presence is just non-existent. Like, I didn't need to see him, but like, I feel like he should be a bigger force in the story, whether it's he's a ticking clock where like Oz needs to move faster to avoid being caught, or even if we see like, again, all the Falcons are dead. And if we're going off of how the Batman worked, Batman should be at that crime scene. And we just, you know, it's just felt kind of weird.
You know, I think there might have been something in the way.
Dang it, Devin.
Oh
Had
my
to.
gosh.
Well
That's
played.
true. No, yeah, that's a good point, Mike. I guess, yeah, because I was trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, how big of a presence is Batman in for like the Penguin? But then now thinking back on what happened in the Batman, you know, going off like Halloween, it's like, yeah, he was starting to get a pretty big, at least renowned altogether. Yeah, we also didn't see Gordon either. So it's like,
yeah, we did get the one other cop with the funny voice at the end.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I forgot his name, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. I don't know, yeah, there are questions, but it doesn't. Like Amanda said, didn't really bug me. I was so locked in. It's like I don't.
Same.
It would be like, I guess, I don't know, not weird that he would show up, but it's just like it was great altogether. But we'll go to Devin. Did you have any burning questions or any talking points you wanted to bring up?
So I know that it says it's a limited series, but I'm just curious as to how limited this series will be. Because the rumors of season 2 are swirling like crazy right now. Matt Reeves was the latest today that mentioned that it might be in the works. So I'm not sure what you guys think about that.
Okay, yeah. Let's start with Amanda and then Mike.
I want another 5 seasons. Like, I just think that this is gangbusters on HBO Max. Everyone went nuts watching it.
Yeah,
every
finale
single
got
week.
2 million views, I think.
Like, that's insane. Like, it's great numbers for them. So I think that they hit the jackpot with this. And it'd be really cool to see if they can kind of work Oz in as like the main villain, but also introduce like the rest of the rogues gallery through on the show. If that's possible, they could do that too, with each Batman release. I'm talking about like the next 10, 15 years that Matt Reeves is locked in, clearly, because there's so many people that they can introduce.
He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. I don't want him to. Matt, if you listen to this.
Held hostage right now.
Yeah, it's like, you can't.
Till he's 90.
Till he's 90. You ain't
Perfect.
going nowhere, Reeves.
It's true, though. Like, I just think that we finally have such an amazing foundation for an awesome Batman universe that, like, I think that they could really work it with the Penguin as like Gapple, and then he gets everybody else in and just introduce the rogues gallery that way. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, it really comes down to the script, because I know that's something that Colin and like the showrunners behind the series are like, if they can figure out what the next story will be, then they're down for it. As of right now, it doesn't seem like they know exactly what that is yet. So until they can nail it, we can just leave it as is. But I do think this could be a cool way to introduce a lot of new characters. Like, I know the fan theories of Julian Rush being like the Scarecrow, or you introduce like Black Mask. Like, I know I've read a lot of like detective comics specifically for Batman, and there's a lot of those grounded characters that they can still fold in. And I thought it was really interesting how we kind of wiped the old guard off the board, right? There's no Falcones, there's no Maronis anymore, but we can introduce, like, they already are setting up Harvey Dent, I assume, with like the task force that they want to bring in. So like Two-Face can probably show up in Batman and then be a villain in the Penguin, because those two go at it a lot in general. There's a lot of like gang wars that happen in the Batman mythos, even if it's just between Penguin, Joker, Riddler. Like, those are stories that they can pull into the show if they want to as well. So there's a lot here, and I think Colin Farrell's performance, like, as great as he is, they've also shown, like, bringing in Christy Milioti, right? They can bring in different characters and have them take on like chunks of episodes of a season and like carry that. So it doesn't even have to be the Penguin season 2. It can just be a anthology series in Gotham, and like, he's the character that keeps reappearing, but we can always follow different villains.
I like that a lot. Yeah. Devin, what do you think?
I mean, I'm down. Just give me more. I'm on more.
Can you imagine like the Red Hood gang rises in season 2, and then we see one of them fall into a vat of acid in the last episode? That'd be crazy. I mean, I know technically we already have the Joker, but you can.
Yeah, I was gonna say Barry's waiting in the wings.
That's true. Yeah, I know Mike and I were talking about this a bit on Discord, because I was apprehensive about, and it's not the Penguin itself, it's just the trend that I'm noticing where, we have these like amazing limited series, and then they turn into multiple seasons. And not saying that those other seasons aren't good, but it's just something I've noticed where that just keeps happening, and I'm like, how much of a trend is this going to be? It's like breaking a season, like the whole like breaking a season up into like 2, 3, 4 parts. Attack on Titan. with even with Cobra Kai, things of that nature, or even gosh, I mean, there's so many other examples. I think actually Sopranos did that with one of their seasons, like way back. So it's not like a new concept, but I've just noticed we're doing that a lot, even like Stranger Things season 4, where it's like, you know, we just have to stretch it out a little bit longer. But, you know, if Netflix just did some weekly releases, I think they'll be fine. But that's all I'm going to say on that. But to get back to the topic at hand, I've just noticed that, you know, there's like these amazing limited series, like even Mayor of Easttown. That's like one of my favorite limited series like ever. And they're like, oh, we're going to do another season. I'm like, but it's so good the way it is. Not saying that I wouldn't want more, but I'm fine. Like, it's like the ending was just so perfect. And I feel like for the Batman, or not the Batman, the Penguin, the ending was so perfect. I would like more of the anthology route that Mike was talking about, but this is something I was apprehensive about. Like, I would watch another season of Penguin altogether, but it's just a trend that I've noticed in Hollywood where it's like they order one season, they're like, yep, they're going to stick to their guns. It's going to be a limited series. And they're like, ha, JK, we're giving you more, which is never a bad thing, but that also does open up a can of worms for, like, let's say if they decide to go like 3 seasons and then, you know, they cut off there and then fans want more and then they're bending over backwards.
I get you. I guess I get that. I guess I look at it differently. I look at it more from the creative standpoint of like, they told the story that they wanted to tell, but if they have new ideas, I want them to be able to capitalize on it, right? Like, I don't know, like, if you look at Shogun, right, where it feels like the creators behind it very much wanted to stop at season 1.
Yeah, that's a great example.
And then FX were just like, hey, the show did really well. We really want season 2.
Yeah.
That's different. But this, it feels like Matt Reeves and company are just like, well, we're open to it. And if something comes, we'll do it. And if it doesn't, then they just won't. And I think that's how I want it to be handled most of the time, where I want them to have that creative freedom of, if they have more ideas, I don't want the studios to just be like, well, we only give you a limited series. You can't come back.
That's okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Leave it open.
Again, not saying I would not want a season 2 of the Penguin. I was just like, oh man, like,
I don't even really know how you would do it though, because one of the best parts of this season is we're rooting for Oz in a way, but but by the time you get to the end of it, we're definitely not rooting for Oz. So I don't know if you can convince somebody.
No, it's like,
I think it was more like, for me, not necessarily rooting, but like, how is he going to weasel his way out of these situations?
yeah.
And also like who to root for. Like
Yeah.
you're like jumping between characters, it feels like.
Between him and Sophia, like, but that's my point of, I don't know if you can do that a second time, because
Yeah.
just off of talking to people today, so many people are like, if I see this dude's face one more time,
Yeah. A lot of vitriol.
it's like, yeah, you know, unless you bring in new characters, that's my point of like, he can still be in the show, but I don't know if he should be at the forefront anymore, because we've all been soured on Oz. We know that he's a rat, you know, even though they told us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how can you get bigger and badder than that? Like it's hard to follow that up as far as a villain.
Also true.
Because for a while, I thought that like the big question was going to be, oh, is Sophia going to find out that Oz killed her brother? Or like, and obviously she does figure it out. I think it's by episode 4 or 5, something like that, like in between, before they did her.
Yeah, it's crazy how small that feels, like in the grand scheme of the season. Like that felt like it was such a big deal.
Yeah,
but then
like
there's just so much that happens.
I thought that was going to be like the big thing. But like, it is both, you know, it is a show about Oz and Sophia like fighting for power. I mean, I was kind of rooting for Sophia more so, like just overall, like she's crazy, but you know,
Is she?
I don't know. That's true.
I never saw her as crazy.
They made her crazy.
I think, I think the situation she was put in made her like, especially everything with her father framing her for being like the hangman, and it's like, I still want to know how the Riddler like survived Arkham, like, because after that episode, I get, that's true.
He has a friend, and do you want to be friends with Riddler's friend? No.
I was like, all right, you know, Sophia's fighting herself through Arkham, and clearly she was not crazy, but it's like, the situations, it was like, oh no, but like she is, and I was like, man, that was insane. So I think, she's probably way more sane than Oz, which is crazy to think about, but she did bang up job. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, she's not dressing up people in her dad's clothing.
No. Burning down the mansion. She's like, yeah, anyone who wants, like we're going to have a hit out on Oz. So like all this can be yours. And then she proceeds to like set the entire house on fire. And it's like, I mean, remodeling, I guess. It's very odd. Very, very odd. But I'll pass it to, I think, Amanda, did you have any burning questions or comments, questions, concerns?
No, actually. I think you guys did ask great questions. And yeah, I don't have anything. Yeah, I think we covered everything that was probably already on my mind, to be honest. So
It's just how satisfying of a series it was.
No, yeah, seriously. Like I can't, I mean, I guess the elephant in the room was like, oh, where's Batman? But like, I don't have any negatives about this. I know people didn't, really want Victor. They wanted him to have a happy ending, but I feel like
there's no happy endings in Gotham City.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. Like it shows,
especially not in Crown Point. Like that's the underbelly of the underbelly. That was crazy to see. They couldn't even get power.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, like I was gonna say, Gotham is just so unforgiving, and it's just that kind of place. It's like, I don't know. It sucks. It's the unfortunate end to like everyone's favorite character, because he easily could have gotten out earlier in the episode, or season, but he was like so willing to prove himself. I thought he was gonna leave and like maybe come back, but I was like, no, I don't know how that's gonna work, because she was like his girl was like, yeah, I'm going to California. I was like, okay, so yeah, like we're probably not gonna see her again altogether.
Original characters in comic book adaptations never have a good fate, I fear.
No. Seriously though, it's crazy.
If his name was Tim Drake, he would have been safe. That's all I'm saying.
A lot of people try to draw the Cyborg comparisons with the Victor name.
Yeah, they just ignored his last name though. That never made sense to me. It's like
they showed you the license, driver's license, first episode.
Seriously.
Yeah. So I wanted to take this time for us to do our final thoughts and ratings. So we will go around the panel here. We'll start with Mike, and then Amanda, and then Devin. Just give your quick final thoughts and ratings for the series overall. And yeah, we'll just go from there.
Cool. Yeah. I really love this show. It's everything I would want in a Batman spinoff, right? Like we really establish and build Gotham up. And I love the ending of, we have Eve telling Oz, nobody's going to be in your way. And you just hear Nirvana in your head, and we pan over.
There's something in the way.
Seriously. Like, that's so on the nose, and I love it. And that's why I really appreciate, like, Matt Reeves' take on this world, where it's like, it's still grounded and gritty, but occasionally it'll remind you we're in a comic book universe of, like, Oz having the top hat on the shelf, right? Like, right by his bedside. But yeah, I'm excited to see where we go from here. Like, I think this is what a spinoff should feel like, where I never missed Robert Pattinson, right? There are moments where I question why Batman isn't here, but like I never was sitting here saying, oh, I need Batman in this series.
Yeah.
And that's something I feel like, not to throw shade, but some of the Marvel shows kind of get wrong, where it's like, hey, why does this just feel like a weird, like, off-branch side quest as opposed to just being its own thing narratively? And I also, like you guys were saying before, I love that this show is very much a villain's show. Like, we're not sympathizing with Oz at the end of it. He's not an anti-hero. He is the bad guy, and I can't wait to see Bruce punch his teeth in Batman 2.
Sony, take notes. This is how villains should be.
Hey.
Oh yeah, Amanda's a big proponent of the spunk universe.
The spunk.
The spunk.
The SSM, whatever, something.
The SSU, whatever they changed it to.
I can't remember.
Sony Cinematic Universe, Marvel characters, I think, is what we're going with. I don't know. Anyway, this is a 80 out of 100. There's your rating. Let's move on.
Boom.
Well, there you go. Amanda, what about you?
I loved every second of this. This is the first show in a long time, I think probably since The Last of Us, that I've done like weekly viewing, and I was excited every single week. Like I did not make plans on Sunday night. I rushed home from Thanksgiving from my uncle's to watch it at 9 p.m. Like, it was just, weekly viewing has never been like more exciting because it's just such a good show. I'm forever impressed with Colin Farrell. I think that, you know, especially after the Banshees of Inisherin, and I was like, this man needs all the awards and recognition. And I think that this is his baby. And he pulled it off so well. I'm still amazed by his performance. And I do want them to get like all the Emmy love if it's possible, like fingers crossed for the entire like cast who can get nominated. And I want so much for this universe. And this just got me like really excited. I loved it. I loved seeing Gotham and just in a very different light, as like Mike said at the beginning of it too. Like, we always see it through Batman's perspective. And I think just like on the ground, underground for Oz, we just get to see all like the dark and gritty nature, how cutthroat it is, how corrupt it is. And I love that as someone who loves mob movies and crime thrillers. Like, this was just a perfect marriage for a comic book show. And I was absolutely floored. I want all of Sofia Gigante's wardrobe, like all of it, every single thing, because she just killed it.
I mean, I even want some of it. It was looking so good.
Yeah, like I was floored by every single look that she had. And Christina Milioti, like, I want a very bright future for her because she's fantastic in this. I'm at like a 95 out of 100. Like, I really loved it. Really did. Yeah.
Devin, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I just have to agree with what everyone else has said. Great series, great characters, great actors. I also wanted to shout out, you mentioned watching it live every Sunday. I like the after show that they had every week, where it kind of had the writers and directors and the actors kind of go through what their thoughts were for that episode. I definitely enjoyed watching that every week. And I think Christina Milioti mentioned that her wardrobe, every time they got dressed, they wanted to make it seem like she was going to battle, which I thought that was a really cool little tidbit there, because she definitely was, and she was definitely she was serving, that's for sure.
Yeah.
As far as the score goes, I'd gotta go with 95 as well. Like, it feels pretty near a flawless. Like, it's some of the best TV we've had in a while.
I would definitely have to agree with that score. 95 out of 100 for sure. This is like the first show, and I didn't realize they did this until like episode 7. This show also had a companion podcast. Same, just like they did with The Last of Us. Of course, they tune in every week for that, and House of the Dragon.
The finale's last episode was almost 2 hours long. I'm still working through it.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. See, I didn't even realize it was a thing. I'm like, man, well, I liked listening to it after every single episode for like House of the Dragon, Last of Us, stuff like that. But I might have to go back and actually listen for the Penguin, because I like how they do that. It's like a more meteor inside the episode type situation. But wow,
I highly recommend it, especially this last episode. It has the showrunner Lauren LaFranc, Matt Reeves, Colin Farrell, Christina Milioti. Like, everybody's on this episode.
Oh, wow.
So it's a good one.
Heck yeah. But yeah, so we have 395s. Mike give it an 80.
How is my 80 the lowest score? Like, damn, I feel bad now. Like,
that was not a call out. I was going to do
yearning
like
for Pattinson. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's understandable.
Robert Pattinson
and Catwoman, mainly Catwoman.
It's yeah. I'm very happy that they snuck that in. Of course, the bat signal at the very end. It's just like it's time. Like, let's go. Like, I need Batman 2, like today or like yesteryear altogether. But yeah, so we have 395s out of 100 and 80 out of 100 from Mike. Of course, for anyone out there listening, these are all phenomenal scores. You know, everyone has their personal preference of what did and didn't work for them, but I think across the board we all loved it. And yeah, hopefully we'll get a season 2. But I wanted to take this time to thank Mike and Amanda for coming on. Sorry I sound so tired. It's just been It's been a long week, a long weekend, a long day altogether. I wanted to take this time to let you guys speak and to let our listeners know what you have going on in the docket, where they can find you on the interwebs. So we'll start with Amanda and then go to Devin, and then we will close out for this episode.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me again, guys. It's a lot of fun. Right now, I have my Gladiator 2 review up. It was something. It was good. It was really good. But the more I wrote about it, the more I was like, oh, I'm finding little issues. But my review is up there. It's Denzel Washington's movie. Sorry to Paul Mescal, but it is Denzel Washington's movie. But my review's up there. I'll probably get my review up for Real Pain. Yeah, it's just a lot of catch up because work just overpowers everything, and that's all I've been doing on my sites. You can check it out at candidxcinema.com, and you can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads at AMXNGA Reviews.
She threw out the Blue Sky.
I threw out the Blue Sky.
Impressive.
Mike, where can the people find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always a blast being here. You know, it's always really fun talking to the HBO originals on this podcast, you know?
That is true. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's a regular.
But yeah, you guys can find me at The Novice Cinephile on Threads, on Instagram, on TikTok at Novice Cinephile, Collider.com. Again, I'm going to be reviewing Cobra Kai this week. That comes out on Netflix. Also, check out my interview with the cast of Red One. That's going to go up this week as well. Merry Christmas, I guess. I'm going to ask J.K. Simmons what it was like being like the most shredded Santa Claus of all time. So, stay tuned for that.
Oh my gosh. Even more shredded than, David Harbour from... what was it?
Violent Night.
Violent Night. Yeah,
I love that movie.
Oh yeah, Christmas classic, and we get to watch the Holdovers again this year. I'm very excited for that. Yes. All right. So again, thank you guys so much for coming on. It's always a blast having you on. Sorry, I'm not as energetic today.
It feels like we're a family now. Bring it in.
It does. Yeah, it feels like we're just sitting.
No,
around
we're
the
not
table.
bringing it in.
Bring it in. Come on. Don't worry. There's nothing bad that can happen from an innocent hug.
Sitting around the table, sharing some pasta primavera, something, I don't know. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much for coming on to the show. It's always a joy to have you all. And with all that said, that concludes today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard on today's episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your preferred podcast platform of choice. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. And don't forget to share an episode of our podcast with a fellow movie lover, whether it be your mother, your brother, or your significant other. Spread the love for the Film Optix podcast. And really quick, let's take a sneak peek at new review releases you guys can listen to. You can listen to our Agatha All Along Season 1 breakdown, as well as our Venom The Last Dance review and our Smile 2 review. Quite possibly the scariest movie of this year. 1,000%. I didn't sleep for weeks after.
Weeks.
That's not a lie.
Multiple? Wow.
It was more like a week and a half, but it felt like 2 weeks. But it's a great movie. It's just, the psyche gets to you a little bit there. But with upcoming releases, you can look forward to our Wicked review, our Gladiator 2 review, and our A Real Pain review, just to name a few. I think this might be the last series that we cover here on the show. I'm going to be watching Dune Prophecy. I'm sure other people will be as well here on the show. It starts next week, which is crazy. We're going literally from one series to another.
That's how it's supposed to work other streaming services. I don't want to be waiting months at a time for a new show. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I was just surprised about the quick. I thought it was like, okay, maybe like a week or two, like in between, like, give the Penguin its crown, its glory, and then, then go.
I don't want you canceling that subscription, bro.
That's very true. That is very, very true. Next year is going to be even more stacked. I'm very excited for that. But with all that said, again, thank you all for listening. If you enjoy the show, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and stay connected with us by following us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, all of those social media garbages for the latest updates. That was Mike, Amanda, Devin, and I'm Christian signing off. And remember, life is like a movie, so go out there and make it a blockbuster.
Peace.